Hi, everyone. This is Phil Ransbottom from A VR Story. Thank you very much. This is actually our first live broadcast of the WayPoint Cafe video series. This was actually going to be replacing the live meetings that Eric CRUZ and I have. So I want to talk about that a little bit first, but as you saw in the title there, if you're watching, this is going to be hosted by Eric CRUZ, as you see on the screen right there. So CRUZ, thank you very much. If you could tell us a little about yourself and, tell me about what we're doing here.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So my name's Eric CRUZ, as you already met. Phil Korea just introduced himself. We've been having an ongoing weekly discussion on Mondays about kind of some long-term business plans and what we've been planning on doing in the future about potentially starting a restaurant in that series and everything. We kind of came up with this idea. Actually, Phil kind of came up with this idea a bit more about trying to actually do a little bit of cooking from being, a couple average people and getting some other people involved and doing a series about different things that you can make at home that are not, overly complicated, real simple things, especially given the fact of how many people are home right now. Seem like an appropriate time right now.
And so, why don't you just give us a little bit of your background? Since we're still waiting for Randall here, he's running a little bit late. That's kind of the issues that we run into when we're going live. Oh, and there he is, and you guys see that on the screen.
How did Randall just get in? Nice.
Randall just came in. What's going on?
Hey, good evening, everybody.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Getting some fresh air for today,
Nice.
outside.
Nice. So thank you for joining
Trying to get
us.
some of it.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Randall. We just started doing the introductions, and CRUZ just finished talking about himself over here. And since you jumped in, why don't you tell the audience who's watching a little bit about yourself?
All right, sure. My name's Randall Arcouette. Currently, I'm a sous chef at the Back Eddy restaurant, which is in Westport, Massachusetts. It is a coastal seafood seasonal restaurant. Super busy in the summer, tons of seafood, classic New England. I'm going to adjust this. I like this better. Yeah, so, and like a lot of other people, just kind of waiting in the wings to see what happens. Our original start date was supposed to be March 20th. And with everything going on, you can imagine we're not open yet. So that's it right now. Just kind of hanging in there, hanging out with these guys and trying to stay busy.
Yeah. And so I'm Philip Ransbottom. I own a VR Story LLC. CRUZ is actually a brother from another mother, a friend, and also a client, and also a partner. It's kind of like an all of the above in relationship that we have, and we've always been tossing around ideas with restaurants, travel, and a bunch of different things. And right now, we're in that circumstance where we're all at home, and we were looking for a way to kind of connect the community out there. In some sense, it's actually the world community. So one of the best ways to do that that we really came up with was, hey, let's try to get a collective YouTube series of some of the things that we want to make for the restaurant, but also give each other ideas about how we can cook better and things like that, and of course entertain ourselves while we're all stuck at home kind of doing our thing. I mean, it's not all bad. We get to do this kind of different aspect about communicating. So for me, it's a very exciting thing. But we're working towards putting a restaurant together. It's really the brainchild of CRUZ, and I'm just trying to create the visualizations for that, and it encompasses a lot of these types of things like the videos. So CRUZ, why don't we come back to you and again tell a little bit about yourself. It's kind of weird. Like I feel a little bit nervous. Like we've been doing these videos, but today is because it's live. It's like a little bit more difficult than.
Yeah, I mean, being live is a little different, but you'll forget about it in like 2 seconds once we're just going. Once we're past this intro, like we're not going to be doing this kind of intro all the time. It's just the first one of the series, so you kind of get a little backstory and everything. So currently, right now, I am the web architect for a e-commerce company. I've been working in the development side for quite some time now, but I did a ton of work previously in and out of the restaurant, from cooking to bartending to a lot of different things. And it's always been a bit of a passion of mine. I love cooking. I love having people over, hosting people. It's always been great. I know Randall. We worked together years and years ago. So, and not just being like friends outside and everything, we did do that together for a while as well. yeah, and then Phil just started pushing me about, trying to find and do something that you're really truly passionate about. And it's always kind of been something that I really do love. So we've just been working slowly towards that ultimate goal. This is obviously on the side right now, and yeah, it's about that.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we're trying to accomplish for these videos is one, to share some of the concepts, the food concepts that we're coming up with the restaurant, but also because Randall is a sous chef and has a pretty extensive experience. He's going to be providing some different recipes and things like that that people can try. And one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that when we continue doing this series, if you want to cook along with us, because everything's live. Actually, it's sort of live. It's like 30 seconds behind, but it's live, and it gives you that opportunity to be able to cook the different meals that we're preparing. So one of the things that I'm doing, and I know I didn't explain this to you guys before, but we do want to get the ingredients and tools ready for people who are going to be following along, so that they can prep. And then if they want to interact with us, I do have the YouTube chat live going, so I can communicate with people that way. But it's really a great way to kind of just I don't know. I think it'll just be a fun thing to do. It's different. I mean, we're running in. I'm running into a lot of stumbling blocks running everything live. I have like a million different windows open here in Ecuador. CRUZ, you're in Rhode Island. Randall's out there in Massachusetts. So this is kind of like the union of the world right now. So like I said, I feel very fortunate that we have the ability to do this. So yeah, so CRUZ, why don't you and everyone, I reference him as CRUZ, but his is Eric Cruz. It's just for the longest time we called him CRUZ, so it's kind of just the normal thing that we say. So CRUZ, tell us what you're going to be cooking today.
Oh, tonight, so we're doing a ribeye indoors. So, everybody wants to talk about outside grilling, doing your ribeye. Well, where we live, it's not always feasible to do all year long. Like it snows here. Like you're not always going to be going outside grilling. One, you might just be in an apartment. You might not have a grill or anything at home, but you still want to have a great steak at home. I wanted steak this week. I mentioned it to Kuya, Phil. So that's why we're here. Like hands down, my go-to steak right now is absolutely always ribeye. It's my cut of choice. By far has absolutely the most flavor. Um, I still love a nice fillet and everything, which is great. And I love that nice rare fillet, just barely seared on the outside and everything. But for like my go-to is definitely a ribeye right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about what kind of cut we have, going to go over the little bit of prep that I already did, and then kind of just a quick process to make a phenomenal ribeye inside your house on the stove top, using your stove top and the oven, using that oven to finish the steak off and get that fat nice and caramelized, so that way you can eat it and enjoy it as part of the steak. It takes a little bit of a lower heat and everything, but we'll go over that.
All right. So why don't you tell us about the tools that you're going to be using?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So really straightforward. First thing, you want to get yourself a nice heavy pan. Got to make sure no rubber on there because we're going to be putting this into the oven. No rubber on there. Just a nice heavy stainless steel or cast iron pan. Couple tongs. Real simple. Going to use that to hold the steak up, flip it back and forth. Mainly, I use the tongs instead of just using something else to flip. I'll show you in a little bit. Is I like to hold the steak up on the fat ridge side and really get the outside seared there too. Cutting board I already previously used to chop up a little bit of garlic. Kitchen knife in case you want to trim any of the fat off a little bit. I generally pretty much always leave all the fat on there. I never really take any of it off, but if you wanted to trim it down a little bit, you can go for it. And obviously to chop up your fresh garlic. And besides that, that's really all you need. Stove, I guess if that counts as an actual tool. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you have one of those.
Sure.
But so That's about it. Really only a couple ingredients for this. It's going to be your ribeye. I always go for something in like the 16 to 20 ounce range. I'm really looking for like a thicker ribeye with a nice marble. So when I'm looking at them and looking at the cuts, I want something that's like anywhere from like 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick. So that way you can really slow cook it for a little while without it cooking all the way through. So I'll uncover it. So I have it on a plate here. I actually already salted and peppered the ribeye, so that way it could season up and had it in the fridge for a little bit. But you can probably see right there. I'll just pick it up.
Yeah, could you put
It's
it
a nice
closer? Could you put it closer towards
Yeah.
the screen?
Yeah, so you're seeing right there, you're seeing a nice, about 3/4 inch thick ribeye cut there. So then if you want to see some of the marbling, this was actually a little bit tougher to pick out this time. So because of the situation that we're all aware of right now, they're actually individually packing stuff at the grocery stores. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that already. When you go out, like all the meats, instead of being able to go up to the counter and get your stuff, they're prepackaging a ton of it to limit everybody's interaction. Well, one of the big things that they're prepackaging, at least what was the boneless ribeyes. Actually, when it's in that cryovac, it's actually a lot tougher to actually see like the marble and see what I had there. Slight benefit is I did actually get to pick it up and kind of feel how firm some of the fat was and everything. And you can see right here, we'll go through. You can see that piece right there. I already knew just from picking it up and touching it that it was going to be really firm. Probably no matter what you do for putting that in the oven, you're never really going to be able to eat that piece. That piece right there is always going to be a real tough gristle spot. I try and avoid those generally when I'm picking them out, but this was the best of what there was there. What you will see though is with that extra fat though, you can see in the body right here, you're getting a really nice marble. So that center main cut of the ribeye, you're going to get a lot of flavor there. And then the outer ring is by far like my absolute favorite. It always has the most marble. Absolutely the best part of the whole steak.
And where did you get the steak?
I got it at Whole Foods.
Okay.
Local around, you can pick it up from any of your local grocery stores or butcher or anything. Obviously, looking for a little bit better for my choice. I'm looking for a little bit better cut of meat. It's not a prime cut of ribeye or anything, but it is a really solid grass-fed ribeye. It's a good cut of meat.
So would you say that even if it's $1 extra a pound, you would go with that just for the sake of it? Better?
Yeah, I'm not having steak. I'm not eating steak every night. I have it maybe once a week, once every other week. So when I have it, I want it to be a little bit of a treat. I'll definitely go with that, like hands down. That's not a so. Well,
I want to know how long did it take you to come up with how to cook the ribeye?
So I would say I was probably cooking steaks for years and years and years and years and years, and just finally I was working at a place that was doing a lot more grill work, and realized like a lot of places are finishing stuff off in the broiler. You're doing steaks, finishing them off a bit in the broiler, trying to get that. So I said, why am I just doing this on the stovetop here? Where I am, no grill, no outside. I have my indoors and everything. Why am I not kind of doing the same and utilizing my oven as well? So a little bit of a trial and process. Not gonna lie, the first couple steaks that I did, I like overcooked the living shit out of them because you think like it's on low heat and it's all right in the oven and stuff, or you have it up way too high. And then you just end up searing and just cooking through the steak because you're putting it in, the pan's already hot. So that's already cooking from the bottom too. And then you get all the extra heat around it before you even know it. So even myself, like I use a timer once I put that in the oven because I don't want to ruin my steak. Like use the timer. It saves everybody a lot of trouble, saves your food. I'll be putting one on even in this video when we're doing it just to count down and everything. I found for me that the best that they came out with, because of just the stove I have and everything and the broil aspect, actually works out better for me in the steak doing a much lower heat. So I do it at 250 and leaving it in there a little bit longer, letting it get that heat soak through. and really soften up the fat and everything.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. From going from cooking ribeyes in a restaurant for a restaurant to at home, I always find myself, as much as I always want to eat it medium rare, I'm always at medium, because at work we're so used to having these really thick cuts that we sell to our customers, and then when you get home, you know, even if you buy something from the grocery store and it looks really thick, it's just, you know, it's always deceiving from, you know, what you can do in the restaurant to at home. You know,
Yeah.
I still struggle with it with myself cooking ribeyes at home, where I'm like, you know, in my head, I know how to do it at work in my sleep, but at home, I always forget I got to do 1 to 3 minutes less, you know, and, you know, thankfully medium's still pretty good.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
for sure. Yeah. There's something else, if you don't have like that open flame, it doesn't, you know, that open flame will caramelize up some of that outside fat like a lot faster than just being on like a pan and then the oven and everything. So you kind of got to just change it up and balance it when you don't have quite the same stuff going on.
Sure. So tell us about your steps. What's the first step that you're going to do with the ribeye?
So the first step that I already did is I salt and peppered my steak, put it back in the fridge because I did this about 2 hours ago. Salt and pepper and season to your taste. Honestly, if you saw kind of how much salt I put on my ribeye, you'd probably think it was a lot, but I like for a nice thick cut of steak, like I like it being a little bit salty. That's my preference. Salt and pepper to your, you know, to what you like. The other thing that I already prepped up is 1 single clove of garlic. I've already minced it and chopped it up just so you don't have to go through that process. Pretty standard issue. Pop off a clove of garlic, peel it, chop it, mince it up, have it set on the side.
Could you put that in front of the camera?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe take like a few grain. Okay. So is that going on the pan as well? What are you doing with that rosemary?
So what we're gonna do, our process is the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna start. So we're gonna just take butter. We're gonna add that to our pan. Get started first with the butter. I'm on a lower heat right now because I just want to get the butter a little melted and liquefied, so that way I can get the rosemary and the garlic in there. And I want to just slow simmer that for just like a minute or so on a nice low heat, just to get some of the flavor out of the garlic and out of the rosemary, because that's really going to be how it transfers over to your steak.
so CRUZ, I have one question for you. I think you went over it a little bit previously. So before you cooked your steak, did you have it out of the fridge for, you know, an extended amount of time to take the chill out of it?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yep. That's a great call, Randall. I didn't mention that at all. I pulled out this steak about an hour ago. So it's still got a little chill to it. You can pull it out even a little bit longer, but it's definitely come up several degrees, which is really important. If you don't know, really important to try and get your steak up in temperature and not be bringing it right out of the fridge, because it helps it cook a lot more evenly. So you don't have the cold spots. You can actually get the fat caramelized without cooking it through as much. When you have a real cold steak, it just doesn't cook through with a nice even temperature and everything.
This is kind of all left field here, but if you had like ribeye steaks in the freezer, and then you were looking to cook that, how would you go about, you know, preparing that?
Straight right out of the fridge. Oh, you can take that one. I mean, all
right, pop quiz, Randall.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're still gonna have to slack it out first. You'll be pretty doomed trying to cook it frozen. I mean, honestly, defrosting things quicker, it's really about airflow. So, you know, it needs to be on like a rack. Really, one of the biggest keys is getting air underneath something that's frozen so it can circulate. Which is kind of, you know, it's interesting, or just, you know, yeah, you just got to remember to take it out the day before, put it in the fridge, really.
I mean, you could try and do like the water cold bath and everything. It depends. I mean, If it's cryovac, sure, it's fine. But if it's not cryovac, then it's, you know, kind of your standard issue with steak.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got to just try and let it go out.
No, the reason why I asked because I'm sure there's a bunch of people that's hoarded meats and things like that. So that question just kind of popped up right away. It's like, oh, because I have a bunch of meat in the freezer, so I want to kind of get a better idea of what we should do here as far as prepping steaks. And
Phil,
whatnot.
what I've been doing is basically like every time I cook a protein out of the fridge, I'll take one out of the freezer and replace it. So I'm kind of going through like a rotation of frozen proteins, you know.
Sure, yeah, that's
So because after you take it out of the freezer, let it, you can still get quite a few days in the fridge without it spoiling, especially if it's well packed.
Yeah.
Cool.
So right now I've added about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of the fresh chopped garlic into the butter. Still on real low heat here. Just letting that get started.
Now, is the butter salted or unsalted?
I use a salted butter.
Okay.
Traditional standard issue. American butter, no, it's not like a European high fat butter or anything, which is great to cook with still too. But no, just a traditional good old standard salted butter.
What
Now
about
you're already starting to smell like you saw when I just added the rosemary just a second ago. So I'm already starting to actually smell the rosemary heating up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's very aromatic. Very important though here. I just turned up a little bit to get a little sizzle to get some heat up. Keep that temperature low.
And Randall, any tips for you as far as how you cook ribeyes that you can share with people?
I mean, I'll start how at home. I'm a big fan of cast iron. I always have cast iron pan at home. I actually do have the same pan that CRUZ is using at the moment that is like as a workhorse for me. It's great.
And what is that? What pan is that?
This is just a full stainless steel Cuisinart pan. Just
Nice.
Like 2 inches thick, 2 inches deep or so. So you can do a little bit of if you want to actually do like a sauce or something for like 2 or 3 people, it's deep enough. You can do it right in this pan. Like you can get this thick up, like you can get a ton of uses out of a pan with this style. So
yeah. Also same, yeah, like you were saying, there's no plastic on it, which, even at home, I like to make sure my pans are versatile so I can put them in the oven to finish things, or, say you want to broil the top of something, or, you just want to put it in the oven and forget about it for a minute, and they just last so much longer. It's a better value.
So what I did now is I actually just turned my heat up. We're like medium high heat. And you can see here, I'll pull off for a sec. What you're going to see here is that back end, that fat side right there. I'm actually going to start off the steak by holding it up and searing that fat side first.
And why is that? Why do you start with that?
So I like to sear that fat side first because it's going to let a lot of the fat out into the pan and add to the overall frying of the ribeye itself.
Okay.
And it takes a bit longer to caramelize the actual fat ring around the outside itself. So I want to get heat on that first before I get heat on anything else.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good tip right there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That, and like you were saying before, it adds a little extra fat in the pan too,
Oh yeah.
So keeps everything well lubricated as such.
So I had already preheated my oven to 250, so we don't have to wait for that or anything. Obviously, before you start frying, you're gonna want to make sure your oven's preheated. What we're going to be doing here is on each side. It's really only going to be about a minute to 2 minutes At the most, honestly, I'll probably leave it the longest actually on this fat side. I'll probably end up leaving it on this fat side for about a minute or two. The other sides, I'll end up just hitting them for about a minute. I can already see the heat starting to really get up in the pan. I can see the browning on the garlic and everything. Gonna flip that and sear the other side now, standing up.
Later, Philip.
What is it?
Oh no, my brother was. I'm at my mom's. My brother just stopped by.
Oh, cool. Oh, the other Philip.
Yeah, one of the other Philips.
So Randall, you said that you like cast iron. Why don't you kind of go into that? Like, why do you go? Why do you have a preference for cast iron versus stainless versus aluminum, or what are the advantages, disadvantages?
I mean, cast iron, definitely is takes a little extra love. It's definitely a little bit more of a, I don't know what you say, little bit more involved because you definitely have to take care of it after you're done with it. But it's nice, I mean, looking back, all of our grandmas always have this most beautifully seasoned cast iron pan, and it holds, the steel actually hold flavor from previous cooking. And I mean, it's the original Teflon, and it's very versatile. They last, I mean, they'll last 100 years if you take care of it right. Really, really distributes heat really well. Again, it's versatile. You can put it in the oven. And I mean, one of my favorite bacon, fried eggs, like, there's a lot of ways you can do a lot with one pan with cast iron. You do have to avoid things like, things that are high in acid, like tomato sauces or vinegar or something. You can't really leave stuff in a cast iron pan overnight. Then you have to kind of start fresh, and then you have to recure your pan, which is a bit of a process, and kind of bums you out, to be honest.
I'm guessing you've done that before.
Oh yeah, and actually, I even one thing I realized is I remember I covered something with aluminum foil overnight, and I think I just forgot about it, and the aluminum foil actually fused to the steel pan itself, which was a real nuisance to get rid of. Yeah, that was a first for me when that happened.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then second, stainless steel. Stainless steel is greatest. Again, it's another steel. Can last a very long time if you take care of it. A little bit more versatile than cast iron because you can really clean it with almost anything.
So we're done with the outside searing on everything. So
oh yeah,
a nice sear there. See the garlic's on there. Rosemary, pick it, throw it on top. I give it one final flip because I know that underneath side actually has a little more butter and everything on it. I give it one final flip before I throw it in. Right in your oven. I'm going for at the 250 on this thick of a cut right now. I'm going for like a medium rare to medium, which is going to be about 5 minutes or so each side. So I'll set my timer for 5 on this side. When I flip it, I'll get a good feel for the firmness. Maybe I'll do 5 or 6 minutes on the next side, depending on when I pull it out. If you wanted to keep it still, based on that time, about 1 minute each side on the stove top, and then throw it into the oven. If you wanted to keep it rare, 250, you're probably looking around like the 8-minute mark or so. 10 to 12 minutes gets you into that medium rare to medium range. Anything over 14 or so is going to start getting you that medium rare, medium well to well done, probably around the 16-minute mark or so in the oven at 250.
I mean, this is a fairly quick, delicious thing to make in such a short period of time.
Yeah. So what I would normally do for my, you're just searing a pan up, steak all done. Then you have about 12 minutes or so of free time right now. This is when I would have thrown it in the oven, and then I prep a lot of sides usually for my week. So I'll prep, whether it's some broccoli, some sweet potato, Brussels, asparagus, maybe have some white rice or anything else. This would be when I would go and grab that out of the fridge. I'd plate something up, start heating it up, get it ready. 10, 12 minutes, with your prep sides, basically 15 minutes to 20 minutes or so at night. You have yourself an amazing, delicious steak, good fresh sides if you already had them prepped up. It's a solid dinner.
What about you, Randall? What's your go-to meal, like, to treat yourself? He's got the ribeye that you can't eat all the time.
No,
Oh, yeah.
That ribeye is like 2,000 calories or something just for that ribeye. Like, we're already having trouble with the quarantine snacking on everything. You can't.
I'll have to say I did buy quite a few ribeyes to start off my quarantine. I will be honest. Kind of, piecing those out. They're actually big enough where, they're a little bit over a pound each. So I've actually been splitting them with Amber. So instead of cooking one steak for each, they're big enough where I'm just cooking one. We're splitting it, which is great because instead of going through two at a time, we're going through one at a time.
Sure.
And yeah, honestly, we've been doing it with broccoli and sweet potatoes because really easy to prep and cook. Sweet potatoes, you prep, poke some holes in them, season them with some oil, salt, and pepper, wrap in aluminum foil, throw them in the oven for say 45 minutes to an hour at at least 350 to 400 in your oven, and set it, forget it for about an hour, and then you have these perfectly cooked baked sweet potatoes, and they just don't let you down.
It's about as simple. And I with my broccoli, I just roast my broccoli too. Like, it's total, like, two birds, one stone, just because I want something good. But I don't want to be making the most elaborate meal all the flipping time. You got to think about, like, how do you do something that's pretty consistent, delicious, that you're actually going to stay on top of, and not like setting the bar so high for yourself that you get burnt out. Like, if you want to be able to consistently make decent meals and stuff for yourself at home, you got to be kind of realistic about what you're going to do. You're not going to be buying, 22 ingredients for every single different meal that you make all the time. It's just not realistic. But have a $2,000 grocery bill every week.
Yeah. Well, just maintaining the inventory itself, like, things will just go bad faster than they can be consumed.
Yeah. I think the number one thing I throw out all the fucking time is beef stock. I buy beef stock to use for something, and I never end up using it. I go back and I'm like, yep, and you're bad. 3/4 of a quart of beef stock gone every fucking time. Just,
yeah. I will say, I mean, a little, with having some of the extra time, and we're getting towards the end of the season, but doing braised meats at home,
nice.
that's a good way to use that container of stock you got too.
Yeah. Braised beef short. Oh, they're delicious.
Yeah.
I did some of those. I did a barbacoa in the crock pot. That actually came out wicked good. That was pretty solid.
Yeah, actually, I made some maso buco the other week. Or just braised beef shanks. You can call it ossobuco or not, it doesn't matter. Just braised hind shanks. And
it's the greatest thing ever. If you don't have one, just you get yourself an elf glove. There's no reason everybody shouldn't own an elf glove. Like, so that's half of our time. I'm gonna flip this over. Only reason I flip this over is because it's getting a lot of extra heat from the bottom of that pan. So you'll notice that if you just left it on one side for the full 12 minutes, that bottom of that steak is going to be a lot more cooked through than the top of that steak. So I'll just split it up, flip it over real quick. And I could kind of feel, just with the tongs, that was still actually really rare. It was still pretty loose when I was picking it up. So I'm going to probably leave it in on this side for 6 minutes or so. We got a little bit of work. We got a little bit to play with. That was a pretty thick cut of steak.
So now, do you put the steak in the middle of the oven, the bottom of the oven, or the top of the oven?
Oh yeah, mid-level rack, middle of the oven. Try and keep it as dead center and even as possible.
Mm.
I definitely don't, when I'm doing the steak, that's the only thing in the oven. I definitely don't throw other stuff in there with it at all. It's just that.
Hey, Randall, so you work at the restaurant right now, and when you're having like a large flow of food going through the kitchen, how are you dealing with that with the stuff that you have in the kitchen, as far as getting the food out? Just kind of talking on the talking points that Cruz was talking about, having just the steak inside the oven. If you have a limited amount of space and you have all these different items going through, how do you manage all that? How do you maintain the quality?
Um, thankfully at the Eddie right now, one of my favorite parts about being with that team is it's a place that's been operating for 20 plus years now. So I get to work with people that have been there a long time and in a system that's been dialed in for that long. So we can handle pretty big volume with good quality. We do have our own system for expoing. It's kind of interesting where each station, our expo will give each station one ticket with what they have to cook. So like say at grill, you're gonna have a ticket that says 3 ribeyes, say 1 medium, 2 medium rare, 4 swordfish, 5 tuna, temps on that, and then so forth for each station. And what's unique is so when your expo gives you that ticket, everyone calls out 3 in. So we actually have this. It sounds ridiculous saying it, but we start every pickup at 3 so like 3.5, and then we count down to 2. So we go from 3.5 to 3 to 2 or 2.5 to 2, and then on 2 you plate everything. You know what I mean? So if everyone calls it out at the same time from each station, so we know everybody's ready. So, 3 we start. 3 means we're about 5 minutes into the pickup. 2 means we got like 5 minutes left. And then 2 means hurry up and fucking plate, and so we can get it to the pass. And they've been working on this system for years. It seems silly at first, but after about a week, you're like, holy crap, this is amazing.
What do they do? They like sandbag tickets? How do they? That's
Well, we have, as soon as one pickup goes to your station, the next one's already being written out.
Yeah.
And then at when we go to meaning, we're, a few minutes away from plating, you're going to get your next pickup. So,
All right.
you know what I mean? So, at 2 or your shit's finishing up, you're going to get your next pickup. So then you'll know like, all right, I need 5 steaks for the next, 3 swordfish for the next. So you can count.
The expo's like grouping them by like every whatever, like 5 minutes. Basically, like get a run of some slips, make them all out, stack, and kind of just keeping the flow going.
Yeah, we really don't. I guess, as you would say, sandbag or pull anything behind. We really like to, as it comes in, send it out, regardless. Yeah, regardless if it's a big ticket, either. If it's a big party, we'll give it a time, and then sometimes a pickup will be just one party, depending on how big, because we do parties, from 10 to, we'll even do parties of 50 people. We'll give a party half the restaurant.
Sure.
Wow.
So, yeah, and again, part of it is just they've been doing it for so long. But yeah, it's smooth. It's crazy to see how much food we put out in the summer in the month of August.
Yeah, I've never heard about like that. That expo, yeah, it's just a different process. Totally.
Yeah, I would definitely love to have you come down and check it out once we're back open. Because it's definitely unique. Nothing like I've worked with before.
Mm. So what's so speaking about that a little bit more, how long does it take for like a normal dish to come out, and then for one person versus 50 people? How do you manage that? How does it flow through?
So you're saying like, does it take longer for a big party versus a table of 2?
Yes, sir.
Not particularly. We actually try to make sure every pickup, whether it's 5 tables of 2 or one big ass table, we're looking at like 12 minutes, which it sounds insane, but that's what we shoot for, to be honest. Like without any, if we're not like being slammed, we should be able to, put pickups out every 12 minutes. And that's probably, 50 covers every 12 minutes.
You trying to keep your tickets out at 12 minutes?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's impressive.
And and it's and like if you're running expo, man, like if you're behind, like someone's there to be on your ass to find out why, and you gotta be there. I mean, as much as it's like daunting to have that, it's actually one of the best parts because like you're under the gun all the time, which is great.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Checking this out. So I managed to get a pretty thick cut of steak this time. So it looks like we've had a good amount of time in there. Stuff is feeling pretty tender. Even the area where I knew was going to take a little bit for that fat is feeling pretty tender. And I still think we're going to actually come in like the medium rare kind of range actually on this guy.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, we want to get a close-up of that if you could, CRUZ. I'm going to change the layout here. Somehow it... Higher? Kind of rotate the plate a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. You got to talk, CRUZ.
Oh, that's right. You are on triggered audio.
Yeah.
Learning curve. So this is it. This is right out of the oven. We have a nice sear on there. Looking extremely juicy. This is my steak, so I have no problem touching it. But you can see that the fat right there is nice and tender. It's had a chance to caramelize. Even the area, which is right there, the area I had pointed out originally early on where I thought it was going to be a little tougher, actually did come through. And then just touching, thinking we're going to be in, like I said, that medium rare range. We'll see.
So I got to say, before you cut into it, do you like to let the meat rest for a minute or two if possible?
I'm going to hold off for like 2 or 3 minutes. I don't wait too long because usually by the time I'm done, honestly, hold on, I move this camera back up. Usually, honestly, it's been a long day. I'm cooking dinner for myself. I'm starving. Like I'm not. Very rarely am I going to wait more than like the amount of time it finishes for me to like wrap up my sides and put everything together, and then steak gets settled, and then by that time it's probably been about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Steak's been out of the pan, just enough time to like let the juice kind of settle and everything, and then time to dig in. So this is the end. I'm in order to try and curb that snack, and I told Kuya earlier, in order to try and like curb the snacking from being home, I started like trying to do a gallon of water a day. This is the last one. This is the 4th one of the day.
Oh wow. Yeah, I will say, water definitely helps, man. It's kind of funny when I stopped. This is the craziest thing I'll say, but like I stopped drinking coffee for a while. I forgot why. And like it was like for a year, and it was kind of wild because then every day I just started by drinking a glass of water. I drank so much water. I used to drink so much water and like started my morning with a glass of water and was so energized and like
honestly, if I'm not drinking coffee, I actually have to agree. If I'm not drinking coffee, I drink way more water. Like actually, coffee, even though it like dehydrates me, it actually makes me drink less water.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah. So I was saying that. Other side note, Kuya, Pat. Remember I told you Pat was talking about wanting to potentially join us, and then didn't get back to me about the original trip and plan and stuff.
Yeah.
He actually hit me up last night and was like all in about trying to travel. So I'm gonna probably try and touch base with him after this. Like I was looking at travel times, and honestly, we don't even have to worry about anything in May because they cancel all the fucking flights. You can't even get there. You can't even get down there in May. with JetBlue. They don't even start up again until June.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the flights, supposedly the flights out of Ecuador right now starts in May 6th. That's what they have scheduled. But as it looks right now, it's not happening.
It's only some airlines. So like American Airlines has stuff, Copa Airlines, Spirit had a few, which don't ever fly on that. Yeah, it's fucking yeah, don't fly on that thing. So and then like JetBlue, the one that we were talking about before, because we found random. So like I had found because we were looking about trying to like rebook because everything got canceled and whatever. We were trying to rebook mid-May into June, super cheap, just crazy on the prices. The flight that I was looking at is just gone. Like obviously nobody booked, so they're like, yeah, let's just cancel all these flights because nobody's going down. Yeah, they don't even pick back up until June. Still super cheap.
So is this? You're trying to go down to Ecuador to see Phil?
The Colombia.
Colombia.
Oh, nice.
So there's I'm going to probably look at what there is for like the end of June over 4th of July stretch. Just because with like the JetBlue flexible cab back and everything, and that's pretty far out. I'm hoping that still flies. If that doesn't fly, whew,
well, the good thing is they're issuing refunds and no charges on changing flights.
All right, so I'm gonna start cutting into this.
Yeah, cut into that and do a close up on the camera, but try not to drip it on your keyboard.
That's actually gonna be a little more difficult. I might cut a piece and hold it with the fork. Oh yeah, so this is still really tender. And actually, because it was an extra thick cut there, you can see there that thing's still a nice medium rare. And then to find out if the fat actually is done, oh, it's done.
You know, I'd have to say I don't think I've actually really heard or seen anyone, like you were explaining before. A lot of places finish it as like in a broiler, at the higher heat in an oven or a broiler, versus how you finish yours in like a 250 oven, a nice low temp. That's actually pretty cool.
I got that idea from how you do a prime rib at home.
Yeah.
Because the prime ribs, a lot of times for like, at least the way I've done them, and they come out really, really good in my opinion, is you get that hot oven. You get the prime rib in there and you make that crust with a really hot oven for just that first like 20, 30 minutes. And then you immediately just turn that heat way down and then just let it slow cook. And even with other meats, like with the short ribs, with the barbacoa, it's always that like lower heat for a bit longer to get that fat nice and soft. So I started trying it with the ribeye, and yeah, it just really, really worked out. So that was like the piece that I just showed you was that outer edge where it was like the thick cut of fat from the original, and it was the full piece of fat. I eat my ribeye with the fat. It's just the type of cut it is. I enjoy it. And you can just chew right through it. It's caramelized. It's soft. It's really delicious. I'm gonna have another bite now because.
Yeah, I have to agree. Ribeye is really, as much as you think a fillet is the best, ribeye is such king. Like you just, with fat, you need that. I mean, with the meat, you need the fat. Without the fat, it doesn't do as much. We all love hamburgers. We all know there's a lot of fat in ground beef for hamburgers.
So, Cruz, describe the taste, the texture.
So right now we have the ribeye at a nice medium rare. It's actually some of this is still a little rare, which is great. That's actually how I usually like my steak. Really, you're getting that like buttery soft with because all the fat, all that marbling that was in there did get a chance to caramelize. So you're getting that really like soft, buttery texture. Just a ton of flavor with nothing. Just a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper, one rosemary sprig. That rosemary on the beef kind of just adds a little bit of an accent flavor with the salt and the fat and everything. And yeah, it's delicious. I'm actually gonna go grab. I have a side because this actually is my dinner right now.
Hey, could you show your sides too?
So this is different. This is not gonna be the sweet potato broccoli. I had this on a different plate from earlier that I was gonna plate the ribeye on, but then I didn't want to put my ribeye on a cold plate fresh out of the fridge. So this is actually store-bought tabbouleh salad. Did you see that tabbouleh hit the keyboard?
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna call it out, but that's it. Is like a shitload of tabbouleh on my fucking keyboard now. So it's perfect. So after this is over, I'll clean that out. It's gonna be great.
Right, we're coming pretty close to the end of the video. Why don't you guys talk about what you guys are interested in making next? I know I'm going to be presenting this a lot more for the next episode. This was this was our first, trial run with the live video, but kind of preparing for the next video. Could you give the people here what you're going to be looking to make next?
Sure.
And then go from there. And then Randall, if you could talk about what you're interested in making as well.
So next week I'm gonna do kind of along the lines of prepping food and trying to stay delicious but reasonably healthy. So I know like this one in particular, we'll start with the ribeye right here. The ribeye itself has a lot of calories in it, of course, but they're not necessarily bad calories. You're talking about a natural beef steak, fat. I have no problem with eating fat. It's something that you should be having in your diet, at least a bit of it anyways. And then on the side, all I'm having for a side is a tabbouleh salad, which is extremely almost no calories, really healthy, ton of flavor, really complements the ribeye really well as a simple side. I buy store-bought tabbouleh salad because it's really cheap and I don't want to go through the process of making it. Just not worth my time and effort to get all those ingredients. So the next thing that we're going to do for meal prep is going to go through making cold oats. I don't know if people have ever tried making cold oats before. I started doing it a little while ago. I haven't made them in a little bit just because I was switching up what I was having and everything. But making cold oats in the little mason jars, storing them, we'll make a couple different flavors depending on what you like. My go-to is always just adding a little fruit and berries on top and everything. But I'll do a couple different ones. Really, they're really simple, healthy, super cheap. You're eating this like really solid, like healthy, nutritious, on-the-go little breakfast that you can bring with you for like $1 a meal. Just unbelievably cheap because you're just using all natural oats and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna go over that and go over the process of that in next week and how long they're good for and different things like that.
And Randall, for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I think once I kind of, we just finished, planned our menu for this week. I'll be in there on Wednesday, and then I'll have a better idea of, things I have to make or other things I can make. Then I have to kind of just dial in on, this being on a Monday. But the first thing that kind of popped in my head, to be honest, was ratatouille. We make a lot of ratatouille, and
Okay.
part of our focus, honestly, is trying to work with vegetables a lot more. Just there's high value in it for a restaurant, and I think the customers out there, people are just actually looking for more vegetables in their diet. And when you go out to eat almost anywhere, you never not order protein. the work is all in prepping vegetables. It's a lot of chopping. It's tons of chopping and cleaning. But price point on buying vegetables in bulk is really good, and then your profit margin, you know how that goes, is really nice. And ratatouille actually is something we make a lot there, and like it just hits the spot every time.
I've never made ratatouille before, so I'm actually excited for this one.
Yeah, this is all
Yeah.
right.
This is kind of like our version. It's kind of like a spring vegetable ratatouille. Again, ratatouille is kind of it can be vegetables of all kinds of different variety depending on region. But this is definitely our proprietary ratatouille. It's mostly with zucchini, squash, tomatoes, fennel,
Onions.
onions, tomatoes. Yeah. So and it's just it's very consistent, but it's our thing. So
Interesting.
that's on the top of the list. But like I said, we'll see when we get to next week.
All right. And as for us, I mean, this is kind of down the road. I know during the rehearsal I talked about this, and I don't know how many times I mentioned this to CRUZ during our meetings, but Ecuadorian.
I can only imagine this is going to be what.
Ecuadorian style ceviche. It's
fucking ceviche again.
It's coming. It's coming, guys. So I think it's a really good take. I'm not a expert on ceviche or food in general, but I do know that when I have it here, when Sophia makes it, it's absolutely amazing. When her mother makes it, it's amazing. And being able to share that with people, and if people are out there cooking along, I mean, we're gonna have the ingredients set up prior, and just having the tools available. But even then too, because the video is going to be posted after it goes live, everyone can still reference the video to be able to make these dishes. I think that's one of the great things about it. It's like once it's on the internet, like you can basically reference it, and people can use that as a way to make these items themselves, or if they want to definitely enjoy having the time to go to a restaurant, I'd recommend going out to Back Eddie's over there, because the food there is actually really good, and that's one of the things here, and that's what it's about, is making good food and hanging out, having a good time, even though we're all in different places.
Yeah, once you're back stateside, Kuya, and everything's back open, we'll have to go down there.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, you definitely go.
I want to go down and see this fucking crazy ass expo thing.
Yeah. I had this note that I made, and it was about making scallops, right? And I was like, I remember going to your place, Randall, and making scallops, and it's like you think it would be an easy dish to make.
Really easy to overcook them.
Yeah, really easy to overcook. That's one of the key points. So, so that's one of the great things. That's the last time I was there, I had scallops. So,
we're at the Back Eddie.
Heck yeah, mad good,
nice.
Mad good. All right, we are at the 7:00 Eastern time. This is our first video, and this was limited. We didn't advertise this one. We really produced this in a short period of time. I think it went pretty well. I know CRUZ, you and I, we're going to be dissecting this a little bit more, figuring out like what works, what doesn't work, but no pressure, because I know you got stuff going on during the course of the week.
We can talk, I mean, I'm going to be eating. If you want to, we can chat like we're going to talk. We said we were going to talk right after this anyways. Roll right into it, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, do we want to just go live with our meeting while you're eating and stuff?
You can stay live. Yeah, I don't care.
All right, cool. Randall, if you want to stay on, jump off. It's up to you.
I'm going to swing this thing around so I'm sitting in an actual chair and stuff, but that's about it.
I mean,
I'll hang out for a couple minutes, but I'll hang out for a few, and then I'm about to have some dinner myself.
Sure.
Oh, I mean,
nice. Yeah, I got to cook some pizza on some baguettes as well. So.
French bread pizza, you're saying?
Heck yeah, man.
Oh wow, I haven't had that in mad long. That's good.
Nobody get dizzy with this fucking thing swinging.
The secret ingredient that we use over here is a lot of sugar for the. Hold on. All right.
The
So
sauce?
with the sauce, yeah, because there's nothing in the sauce. You have to buy the tomato paste just by itself. So it's obviously bitter, very sour. So
Yeah.
got to lighten it up with quite a bit of sugar. I don't know if you can make any recommendations, Randall. I know you used to work at a pizza joint.
Yeah, I honestly, when I'm going to the grocery store, kind of like how I mentioned earlier, like, I like to, I have no problem spending an extra 10, 20 cents on an item if I know I'm going to like it. Like, so when I go to the canned tomatoes, I'm always looking for a San Marzanos, a plum tomato out of Italy. Italy's going through some tragic times, but it's not going to stop me from getting, the best canned tomato I can get for an extra 20 cents out of the can. But yeah, San Marzanos, they, whatever you need, tomatoes and sauce for, it's my go-to all the time.
Cool. Thanks,
Yeah.
Randall.
I'm with you. Like, so I'm totally with you. If I have a specific item I'm looking for in certain things, like I'll always just spend a little bit more on it. But at the same token, like when I'm shopping and I'm picking out my stuff, a lot of times what I'm picking is just like whatever's on sale that week.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm a clearance shelf shopper.
Like whatever veg or protein is like the sale that week. Like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Like that's what we're going with, and then just work around that, and then you pick a little something else extra that you like. But on certain items, like you get something that's better. Why are you going to get something that's not going to be as good or delicious and you don't really like it? That's just crazy.
Yeah. You're not saving money if you're going to throw it away because you don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You cut it out somewhere else.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. So direct feedback. This is still running live. CRUZ, I mean, how do you feel you did? Randall, same question to you. What do you moving forward? Some things that I can improve on. Get some good criticism here internally.
So this was our first time with anything that we've been doing. That was our first time actually going live. I felt a little nervous. I didn't feel very just comfortable and flowing at first with it. Just from
I have to say, sorry, you go, CRUZ.
Just from like the setup and everything. I would love, like, I'm using, the camera that I'm using is what we have and everything right now. I would like a slightly better like camera and camera angle, just so I could actually like move around a little bit. Just the way the camera is and its zoom and the position of it and stuff. Like it's kind of like crowding me a little bit, so that's not quite as comfy to just be able to like relax and just BS with you guys as we're going along and shit.
Yeah. I think that'll just kind of come along as we go. I mean, I'm using the camera on my laptop, and it's obviously not as great quality as like actually honestly, Randall, your video on your phone was the highest quality out of all the videos.
Pretty legit. It's actually really solid.
Yeah, I'm not good at standing in one place, so I knew the laptop thing wasn't going to work for me. I'm kind of,
So I mean,
especially since I'm trying to this was supposed to be my hour outside. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stand doing something for an hour. I'm going to do it outside.
Yeah.
Nice.
And honestly, I think this is really just going to be like a constant learning experience. I'm, toggling between all the different controls because there's so many things. I have the Google Meets Hangouts going. I have the YouTube Live. I have the OBS, and I have Facebook in the background. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on. But I felt like, honestly, it went pretty well. The only thing that I would say is for all of us, I think we were all kind of just a little uncomfortable. It was just very awkward. It's like, oh shit, like dude, we've been having these video meetings, right? Yesterday was a rehearsal. It was actually live, but today it just seemed like it was, I don't know. I just felt like it was a little bit harder to produce. I think just because the pressure was on.
Yeah, I guess I felt kind of the same-ish. I don't know. I'm surprised at how fast an hour went by. Honestly, because I was just thinking, I'm like, all right, well, if I'm in the kitchen with some shit, I'm like, damn, I could probably, if this is 1 hour, I felt like it went by fast. I might have to think about, keeping it short.
Oh yeah, for sure. It will be like you start going back and forth and just talking, like before you even realize it, you fill up
Yeah.
an hour. Yeah, 1 hour. If it's dragging by, it's because like you don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when you hear shitty dragging stuff, it's like, oh, yeah, it's because you got nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Phil, I think it was great. You were kind of narrating the, talking points, sort of, like you kind of had the eye on when CRUZ had the down minute to ask me a question.
To be honest, it's a lot easier when there's three people, and it becomes so. So here's the thing. Like I'm doing the back end stuff, right? CRUZ is cooking. So being able to work the camera, work the cooking, come up with stuff in your head, and try to talk normal. It's really tough. It's really tough. So it makes it a lot easier that you're on the call or in the meeting, because we're able to kind of transition over, because if CRUZ is trying to pay attention to his cooking and all of a sudden I'll just blurt out some question, it's going to be hard for him to like refocus. I know I can lose my cool if I get interrupted, like when I'm trying to focus on stuff. So I'm like, oh crap, especially if there's like a problem that you're trying to work through, so I completely understand how that goes. And it's a other skill set to be able to do commentary, work on something at the same time, and then have a conversation. So there's actually like three different things going on. So in that way, I think it's good that there's three people in rotation, continuing the conversation. And on top of that, we didn't leave any questions. I mean, we had a few questions yesterday that we were prepping for, but there was a lot of other stuff that you guys were bringing up that I didn't know. So it helped bring up new questions that I had on the spot. I didn't go heavily prepared for, some of the topics or anything like that. I was just chewing off of what you guys were saying, and then, seeing what you guys responded. And one of the things I really do like too about doing that, it puts everyone on the spot, because it's like you either know the material or you don't, and then you can kind of just get a feel for it. So it gives me a lot more confidence, like, oh, dude, like everyone knows what they're doing. And that's one of the things that I really liked about it. I mean, Randall, how many times you and I just gone on food travels years ago,
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, and I really felt like I learned something, during this talk about just food in general, even how preparing the ribeye. There's a lot of different concepts. I find making ribeye at home is difficult. I've done it several times, just had a really tough time, making sure that the ribeye was cooked right. And
Would you say you had problems like overcooking it, or?
Yeah, doing the overcooking thing.
Yeah, like I was saying, when you go to the grocery store, it's hard to find a nice thick cut. What CRUZ got at the Whole Foods was, that's really good for supermarket quality.
Yeah,
and
honestly,
also
they're pretty legit there with their with like how they cut them for their ribeyes in particular. Like they're pretty good about cutting them thicker.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget too. If you go to a grocery store, you press that little button, you get the butcher to come out and like, they'll cut shit for you if they got it.
Mm.
Oh yeah, they'll totally cut you. If they're like they have it out and they're like it's not like a whole new brand, whole new rib rack or something, or even that if you're really pushing them, like they'll cut something for you.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So, I want to bring up a story a while back ago. I CRUZ. You don't know the story, but one of the things that I put Randall on a little test. I always put him on these little tests, right?
What do you
So
Randall? What
I was
you
like,
say, Randall?
I was like, Randall, can you make a buffalo chicken ravioli, like on
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that.
on the spot?
You told me this when we were walking. When we went to the fucking Pilgrim Fair. We went to
Oh
Thanksgiving
yeah,
Pilgrim.
I did.
Go. It's a good story. It's a good story.
Actually, that might be a fun little
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what? We went fucking in Plymouth, obviously, Plymouth Rock, Thanksgiving, like the Thanksgiving parade and the whole thing that they have down there. Like it's really good. Like we went to that.
Nice.
It was like it's actually like a lot of fun. Like it's a ton. It's not just like the parade. There's so many like food vendors and everything else set up and like beer gardens and stuff for you to go around and like have a blast.
Yeah, I've been hearing more people plug Plymouth over the last year, like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Well, this year is what their 400th year or something like that. So, if there's the time to go, it'd be this year, assuming that all things all things
Yeah.
kind of change for the better, which we hope for. But yeah, I was actually very surprised of how awesome it was. It was very very. I didn't know what to expect. I know that when I called CRUZ, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing on Thursday? He's like, nothing. All right, cool. let's let's go to this parade. And then we went to the 12 tribes. One of our buddies that well lives with that group, that religious group, and they were
Oh, they're
just
the one with the coffee shop?
yeah, and they had a bunch of baked goods that they were giving out, the sandwiches and whatever, as
Fresh made cider.
yeah, the fresh squeezed cider with their mechanical the machine that they use, hand torqued.
Yeah, the baked goods and stuff were unbelievable, actually.
Yeah, baked goods is just a whole other arena of cooking. That's not gonna lie, I'm a little afraid of it. It's like
Oh, that's another type of crazy, man. Now, anytime somebody's like, "Oh, I want to get into making desserts and baking bread," and it's like,
there you go.
Mm.
You don't want any part of that.
I think I've seen more people cry trying to do baking and pastries than anything ever.
I mean, how was your baking, Randall?
Say, what's that?
How was your baking skills?
Um, oddly enough, being in my position now at work, I kind of got thrown a lot of stuff nobody else wants to do, which is fine. I always like challenges, which includes desserts. Because we do all of our desserts in house. We don't when we try to keep it's tough with desserts because a lot of people at a restaurant ordering dessert, you're not always looking to go out of the box. Like you want something chocolate, you want something creamy. You're gonna have ice cream, something with fruit. I mean, or everyone's gonna do creme brulee because it's mostly eggs. Eggs are cheap as a commodity item. So
Maybe
yeah,
a
I mean,
cheesecake, maybe.
what was that, Cruz?
Maybe a cheesecake, maybe.
Yeah, some places, yeah. We actually try to stay away from making cakes, I guess now. Um, but what's nice, I mean, we definitely anytime local fruits available. Honestly, my favorite thing to make because it's straightforward, and when strawberries are in season, is strawberry shortcake.
Mm.
Nice.
Because you get
Oh yeah.
you get fresh local strawberries. You just cut them up, macerate them in sugar, maybe a little liqueur if you want.
Give yourself a little biscuit and some fresh made whipped cream. Done.
Yo, it's a wrap. If you can't make a biscuit, just put a biscuit together, throw it in the oven. That's I'd say that's some 101 baking right there. But that one's great. It sells itself, and it looks great. It tastes great. The only thing is, strawberry shorts season's pretty short, so that kind of bums me out a little bit.
Like a month max. So I could have shared that with somebody, but I ate the whole thing.
You shared
Quarantine rules.
you shared your experience by eating it in front of people.
Let's see. I don't know. I've actually, last year I've really worked on trying to nail down like pre-baked pie shells. Blind baking pie shells.
Oh, you were actually like pre-baking them and pre-making them, so that way you could just fill them and make them.
Yeah.
How long did they stay for?
That's a good.
Couple days.
I'm trying to think. So cooked. If there've been, I try to. What you can kind of do is, actually, I'm trying to think which way I did it. Because pastries freeze better than being in the refrigerator. Because gluten doesn't like being in that range of like, 32 degrees plus to 41. I forget what it is, but something about gluten, it just it loses its panache, I guess. So a lot of pastries, you freeze them. So when you slack them out, the gluten still has its original structure.
I mean, they're totally, slightly higher end. You pay a little bit more, but I've gotten like frozen pastries and frozen pie shells that you pay a bit more. And honestly, they came out and they're pretty fucking good.
Yeah,
yeah. Like totally still legit. Or even like some like the wicked good like frozen cookies. Bake them up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know what? That's still a fucking wicked good chocolate chip cookie.
Chocolate chip ice cream cookie. Woo.
Oh, might have to do a trip to the store. Take my life in my hands for an ice cream cookie sandwich. It's good. It's okay. It's worth it. It's fine.
I heard an ice cream truck today. Can you believe that?
No, you did not. It was actually out. There's no way.
I didn't see it, but I heard it. I heard it out the window earlier today. I'm like, yo, what?
You are fantasizing. You're lying. You're fantasizing.
Maybe it was just someone driving by with the music on in their car,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's their hot tracks in the background.
Yeah. You know how a Cushion and Ave can be. There's all kinds of fucking shit over there.
That's probably what it was. It was just
oh man. All right, so CRUZ, again, feedback. What's how did you feel about the our first live session? Do you like it? Don't like it? What do you?
So going into it, before we turned like the camera on, I was like, oh, why the fuck am I doing this? like what's going on with this thing? But then as we were just hanging out and going through the process and everything, I actually liked it a lot more.
Yeah.
It was just like that initial not apprehension about it, but just like, all right, we're gonna do this thing. Like, who knows how this is gonna be, but no. As it went along, like it was actually like I enjoyed it. It was actually it was fun. I think what you did with the flow back and forth was really solid to fill in the gap, because unlike other stuff being produced, like it's live, like there's no retakes, no nothing. It's just going. So downtime is downtime. You got to fill that. It's just got to keep rolling. We're not going to fix it. There's no edits. There's no anything. So you jumping in and everything and filling like the dead air is like really key, because dead air just sounds stupid. And it's not like we could cut and edit and everything. The camera angle to be able to show stuff is a little tough. I clean the fucking tabbouleh salad off of my laptop. It's great.
Well, again,
Phil, is there a way you can sign on? Like, say, CRUZ was signed on through his laptop. Can he simultaneously be signed on with his phone, so you could have a mobile camera? Or
yeah, actually he can.
Oh yeah, I could sign into Google Meetings to my phone, probably.
Yeah.
Can you have both of them streaming at the same time?
Yeah, one of the options that they have is that you can toggle. Actually, I'll try to do it right now. You can actually toggle. Let me test that right now. Yeah, it's I think that's really just one of the toughest things about doing stuff live, is that it's really tough to fill the gaps of space or conversations.
Oh yeah, that's too curious.
There's two me.
Well, there was one of them's frozen in the past now, but oh no, now he's back. What's up?
Let's see if I can take the audio out.
Oh, it's Do you pausing it? Yeah.
I'll take this video out.
Now there's no video.
Now there's no video.
And you're double muted. It's just,
How about now?
now you're on your phone.
All right.
Unmuted.
All right.
Can you see the video of me?
Can you see the video of me?
Yeah, I can see the video of you.
Oh, cool. All right, cool. Okay,
cool.
so that's
All right, cool.
it's a little bit different.
Okay, so it's a little bit different,
And the audio is
a
a little bit behind. So here's the wonderful office.
Here's the
You guys
wonderful
wanna
office. You guys want to see
see my setup? That's now keep in mind. That part of the reason why I use this rack
because
I don't
want
want
to
to
unplug
any of these wires. And
You can wheel it into the bathroom with you. Why?
I can wheel it into the bathroom, dude. I can wheel this anywhere. So this is the workstation. As you can see, there's the desk, but I'm not using my laptop on the desk. It's there to rest my arm. And part of the reason too that I have it on here, this rack helps airflow, and that fan I put underneath. Otherwise, I won't be able to play any video games. So that's really the real reason why this is set up here. So any VR testing, the VR headset's right over there. Like I have to have a fan underneath.
Oh, Kuya, we got to talk about something too. Speaking of that VR headset thing.
Yeah.
So, might be an avenue. I don't know how we would do it or get into it tomorrow, but listen. So I have a friend of mine. We was chatting with him, buddy on Discord. We're playing a game. He's just home. He cracks me up because he's not like a doomsday prepper.
Mm-hmm.
He's like prepped. He's like, oh yeah, I don't got to go anywhere. I got at least 3 months. I'm all set. He's like, I'm just gonna hunker down, whatever. Just fucking around with him and his wife. But he does real estate out in Vegas. He's actually just outside of Vegas.
Okay.
And obviously it's a pretty, going market. It's not like that's a quiet market, quiet area. People moving in and out of the Vegas area a lot. Yep. So obviously he's completely shut down because there's no, getting people in the houses, getting the inspector in and everything. But one of the bigger things would be, and if this could segue, out after this, is rather than going and checking out, 10 or 12 houses, driving there, going looking at them, why wouldn't you go in, and this is for probably a little more towards higher end, why wouldn't you go into an office, nice office space? They have, some refreshments, a little hors d'oeuvres, whatever, for you to sit, relax, talk, get to know them. Why wouldn't you go on a virtual walkthrough, because you filmed everything, of 12 houses in an hour without even having to go out to them? And then you can already narrow it down to the ones that you actually physically want to go and see. And it reduces everybody's time completely overall.
Oh yeah. That's a great thing that you brought up, because that's actually, so the stuff that I'm doing with you actually does that kind of stuff now. But I'm building a lot of the assets from scratch. But all I really need is, if someone doesn't have 3D assets, I can build a 2-scale house.
But what would you need to actually just go and take the actual video so that you could actually do the 3D actual walkthrough of the legit house, but have a virtual experience?
So there's two, what I mean? Yeah. So there's 2 different ways, right? Or I say technically there's 3 different ways, but there's 2 different ways. So there's one where you can you can capture the actual interior space, and it takes actually a long time to do it, and you get like a fairly accurate or a fairly precise dimensions, and you can get and you can do like a virtual tour of an area, and then you just have to add the kind of like the game stuff so that you don't clip through the walls or anything like that.
Yeah,
That
sure.
can be added afterwards. And then another way, say for instance, um, like for now, like no one can travel anywhere, right? But what if you wanted someone to take a virtual tour of a place? Um, the assets can be built from 2D drawings. So if people wanted to do like a virtual tour just on their on their computer display, that's fine. And then later, like once everything is open up again, where the offices people can visit the offices, then you can do the virtual tours that people put on the headset, and then maybe like, oh hey, I want a blue couch and not a red couch. Well, you can just switch that on the fly in real time. But the great thing is that a virtual tour can be done online by providing the assets that way, and then also on premise. So there's a lot of different approaches to be able to do that. Um, but there's two different workflows that are involved. Whether you're building the application for web development or you're building the application for client side on a computer, and if and those have a different workflow. Um, and one, I'm not saying that one would be harder or easier, but if the aim was straight web, there's going to be a degradation of quality versus a client side item or application that's built for the computer. And I've been in the process of researching streaming applications with a high fidelity of quality to the end user. But like I'm not too far ahead of that because there's a lot of server stuff that I have to kind of take care of. So like in between, it seems like a lot of people might think, and this is a true statement. A lot of people might think that I'm just kind of sitting around doing nothing all day, but 90% of my day is strictly research and then building assets. So so with that in mind, if your buddy needed help to virtualize stuff, that's where like I build stuff. I typically depending on how accurate they want the stuff to be, I can build stuff from a CAD drawing, um, and then bring it over to 3D modeling software and then into a game engine, and then that will provide like interactivity. Or I can do CAD, 3D model, and then onto the web. So it really depends. It really depends on where that is, and that's actually a good segue of like the thing. Let me share this with you guys so that you can see
Hey,
it.
real quick, I'm gonna jump in here, guys. I'm just gonna sign off. I'm gonna have some dinner and do some laundry.
Sure,
Yeah, of
sure.
course, Randall.
I just didn't want to cut you off in case you forgot something.
Nah, go. Thanks,
Yeah,
Randall. I'll see you.
Yeah,
See you next week.
yeah, man. Thanks for jumping in, dude.
Same with you guys.
Looking forward to seeing what everyone comes up with. And
Yeah,
you guys got to cook along with the Ecuadorian.
Not making any fucking
ceviche.
ceviche.
All right, Randall, you got to do it. Come on.
wait, what? What am I gonna do?
I'll cook along. He wants you to make the ceviche when they make the ceviche.
You want ceviche?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. We'll see. All right, I'll be in touch with you guys.
No pressure. No problem.
I'll cook along.
All right, take care, fellas.
All right,
Later,
take it easy.
I was just flipping you around because I want to make some tea.
Oh. Am I still in this?
Yeah, you're still in this.
Yeah. Am I still this?
The best part of the fucking video right there.
Am I still this thing? All right, CRUZ man. All right, I'm gonna share my screen here so you can see this. So glad that glad that you brought it up. Now, oh, actually,
Holy shit.
all right. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
So this is the
Well, oh yeah, no, I can see that. Yep.
yeah. So right now, this is just a. Whoops, mind all the funky colors. I do that because it helps me manage all the assets and stuff. So this is a 2 scale, 3,000 square feet, 3,000 square foot concept. What I showed you before was an early build. This is the actual like kind of near final setup here, and so what took a long time was actually building these coolers. But
Okay.
so
Okay.
and the great thing is, like, I can convert this to HTML and I can convert this into a game engine that's interactive. But as of right now, this is just like I said, this is like the beginning shell, and some of the assets have already been built. Uh, so and it gives the ability to see, to see how, like, if someone wanted to do like a virtual reality tour with a headset, they could do it with this asset. And I was gonna this week I was actually gonna test it out. That's part of the reason why I had my wacky desk set up, was because I was putting that together. Um, but this is, I have all these annotations here, because I had some other concepts about like where, you know, like where some of the POS area would be expediting, you know. I want to say there's like 48, yeah, 48 seats, for a 3,000 square feet, kitchen in the back over here, expedite area, bathroom. Um, so that's just based on a 3,000 square foot area. But
Nice.
yeah, so it's one of those things. It's one of those things where, like I said, depending on what the guy wants to do, I'm sure he has like 2D drawings of floor plans.
Oh, I have no idea. We were just BSing and it just like kind of stuck out to me as like, oh, this industry like definitely has like some huge deficiencies. Like there's no, yeah, I just think that they're still kind of stuck in the old way of doing stuff a little bit.
Well, I think being able to provide like the good thing about having the digital assets is that once you have them, it's like converting them over to different mediums is a lot easier. So, like I said, that they might have people that are still interested in buying a house, but how can they do that when everyone can't leave their house? And there's probably like a bunch of people still interested in buying houses. So to me, that's actually one of my main areas. That's part of the reason why I finished, researching, like how to build a house, just kind of understand the concept of build, how they, why rooms are based on certain areas, why hallways are set up a certain way, just to kind of absorb the idea of of you know layouts for places, and then also helps train me to, um, make the places more realistic. So I usually start with with CAD, and then I transfer it over to the other stuff, and that's kind of like the 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 fun thing to do. Oh, cool! Add the brick layer, and add the pictures and furniture. Um, but it's one of those things. Yeah, that's totally the area or the market that I'm focused on. Is architectural engineering, more specifically houses.
Yeah, no, it's crazy all the stuff that you can do with that shit.
It's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of work. It's dude. I'll tell you what, man. Like, I give props to people. I give props to you, and I give props to people making games and shit, dude, because it is so fucking complex. Like the art side, just the art side alone is like, I mean, there's a lot of things that I just never knew about that is incorporated in game making, and it's not like I'm trying to make a game or anything. But it is really cool to be able to, to do that. And I think there's definitely a market for the visualization, visualization side of things. And the key thing is like being able to deliver like client side level quality with low latency. And so I've been like in the testing phase of a lot of stuff. So I tested out the doing the HTML, but now I ran into like some weird error, so I got to figure out why that is. Like sometimes like the sites don't load or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean,
no, development nowadays, especially, I mean, any development's going to be tough and everything. If you're doing like, there's some stuff out there that's just fucking crazy. Like even just I mean, don't get me wrong. I guess technically you want to call me a full stack developer the whole way. It's just complicated. There's just so many fucking things that you have to account for, and so many things that just come up. It's great. It's rewarding, but yeah, there's a lot going on. And I mean, there's stuff that people are doing out there that is just unreal. But then there's people out there that I don't know, they're just smarter. That's really that's really all it is. There's just some people out there that they're just absolutely next level.
yeah.
With their intelligence, or maybe they just have a niche, a particular savant for something that's just unreal. The stuff that they can come up with and do.
Yeah. To me, it's just like I said. For me, like I stay in my lane. Like there's the things that I want to learn. I know there's limitations of like how far I can take some of my, or at least at the pacing of how far I can take my knowledge base. But a lot of it's like I just have to go at my own pace because like for me, like doing the CAD, Blender, and Unreal stuff. I mean, all three of those I do simultaneously. They're not like independent of each other. Actually, here's a strange thing. If you watch the video and you see the part with the cooking tools, dude, there's three different applications working at the same time to get that to
run. Yeah.
But that's kind of like this the stuff I like doing, Like to me the video stuff is fun. Like I got away from it for a while, but somehow I'm back in the whole the video side of things.
Big on the video?
Yeah, I mean it's tough to avoid all the stuff that's incorporated with doing the virtualization and the virtual reality virtualization stuff. Well, you can't do it without learning a little bit of code and how to get stuff online, how to test servers, and it's like, and then how to be able to host stuff live, like those types of things. You know what I mean? Like they all kind of work hand in hand. And then because I mean I do have to say it, like regardless if we're doing, like right now it's still streaming, regardless of what it is, right? This is in itself, it's a marketing tool, and one of the great things is this is a live meeting. We're not hiding anything. We had the live broadcast, and then now we're having this after afterwards meeting, and we're kind of discussing, all this other stuff. So yeah, I mean, if I don't know, if you want your buddy to get a hold of me, I can pick his brain, he can pick my brain. As
Yeah,
far
I'll see
as
what he's doing. I think I think right now, honestly, they just straight shut down. They're not doing anything.
yeah,
I mean, you can't even the simple stuff like there. You can't get home inspectors. You can't do anything like that whole industry, which kind of could still keep going even in this environment if they had certain technology and everything. Done, shut down, not doing anything.
well, it's like we were talking about before. I mean, everybody's got to evolve. Everyone's has to. So at the same time, we all have to be the unreasonable men, right? We make changes to the environment that we're in, but at the same time, the environment we're in is what it is. So we have to transform it in a method that allows us to be productive and to accomplish our goals. Which is part of the reason why, to me, this is an important aspect about what we're doing, because there's whether we wait until all this stuff is done and over with, or we just start striking when things aren't ready.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah,
other there's no other way to build awareness under these types of circumstances, unless you're already established restaurant, but then you're like talking with Randall's, like they're evaluating, they're going day by day, evaluating how they're going to go through this. So in the same token, it's like, we're not a restaurant yet, but we can still build that awareness, build that excitement. This video in itself is just, like I said, it's an early video. If people sit down and listen to this whole discussion, I think it'll be valuable to somebody. But if people were interested in the cooking part, and then getting to know who we are, getting to know how we do stuff, and then on top of that, how we're overcoming the challenges that are involved. There's no way around it. And like, fortunately, we have these tools that enable us to do this, and I think we should like fully just utilize it to its maximum capability, because
it'll get better too once we start getting a little bit, just get a little tighter with the format. Obviously we just, like, for being honest, we kind of just fucking threw it together and
in less than a weekend.
Just we're like, okay, yeah, sure, we're gonna get together and we're just gonna throw it up. But if we had a little bit of format, not like anything scripted, like I've already said a ton of times, like nothing bores me more than that bullshit fake scripted stuff of like whatever it is. Sometimes it's fine with like, shows and different things, but on like YouTube and different thing, it's better if it's kind of just a little more freewheeling. And then especially if I'm listening to like a talking podcast.
Yeah.
Well,
I think as far as like audience goes, I think, to me, my personal goal is that the audience that we're targeting is people our age, who might not have time to watch a whole video, but they can listen in and be entertained and also learn something. Those are kind of the key things that I'm aiming for. And obviously, at the same time, people are learning who we are. This is like either we butter up who we are, or we just show who we actually are. And because on a day-to-day basis, my personal opinion is that people, we're going to be more relatable than like this, the so rehearsed concept.
What
of
I think
stuff.
would be, so for like the filler, what I think would be interesting is it for like, pre-production stuff would be just like different random talking points that maybe are not related at all to the actual cooking. that we would want to bring up, something that was interesting that week, some other topic or headline that caught our eye, or something else that we want to like bring up and then chat about. Probably want to give each other a heads up beforehand so we can read up a little bit on it.
Yeah,
And
sure. I agree. I agree.
so that way it's just a more dynamic, involved experience than just what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I totally agree.
Because just like everything, when we're hanging out, like, when do we ever really talk about just like, I mean, we do talk about bullshit. I can't really, but we always like, we prefer more like engaging conversation with a modicum of intellect.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we gotta set some topics. We got to do like a forum thing, or at least like a Google Docs, where you, myself, and Randall can reference like, hey, or just a text message thing like, hey, I was looking at this the other day. This was very interesting. You know what I mean?
Just
drop the
send a
line.
link. Yeah. Just honestly, the best thing will just be a text message. Just send it with a fucking link.
Yeah, because that'll help us prepare for queuing in a question, queuing in. But the other part though, I do like how, like I said, I pointed this out, but I have to stress it again. The pop quizzing. You pop quizzing Randall. I think it's important too, to have those moments where it's like we don't know the topic, we don't know the question, that we can all just both test ourselves, but also just engage in it in a different way. So there's the topics that we'll all be familiar with, and we can have discussions, because obviously when you're cooking, there's always going to be a little bit of downtime where you're letting the food simmer. You put it in the oven for 6 minutes. That's 6 minutes. It doesn't seem like a lot of time, but if you're doing a video, 6 minutes of dead time is
There's going to be a ton of that. And we can talk about the food and stuff, but I mean, we talk about everything else too. So might as well just do that as part of the whole aspect.
Yeah. And maybe, like I said, I think because it's live, I think we offer that as a challenge for viewers. Next week we're going to advertise it a little bit more. Obviously, I feel like we're going to be more prepared. I mean, shit, dude, I was building the assets like 2 hours before 2 hours before we went live. Like I'll show you.
It's like 1,000,000 degrees. I put that fucking tea in the oven, in the microwave for like way too long.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll share you my screen so you can see what my screen looks like. The monstrosity.
Write that down. That wasn't good.
So if you look, I have a template of where all the windows have to be.
Yeah.
So the music cue, live stream. This right here is the Google Meet. Randall's still on, actually. Oh no, it's the other.
Might still be on. He's watching the YouTube. Am I watching the YouTube?
No. So I have everything set up so that I know where they are. But part of it too is because how everything is captured on the screen, I have to be aware of, so I can toggle between like a lot of the different windows very quickly.
Yeah.
But that's not for you to worry about.
Fuck, that's hot.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on getting the topics set up. Like I said, I've been more aggressive with putting stuff online, and I've been becoming more and more comfortable with it, even if things are not very complete. You know what I mean? Because I feel like each day or each time that things get posted, things just get slightly better and better. And I'm not so worried about.
Yeah. People watch stuff. I mean, I've watched some dumb stuff. Like when we were planning the trip in Colombia, I wanted to see like some little shots of the actual islands and stuff. I watched some dude in Spanish who was honestly just like half bumbling around the fucking islands. It was like a total like not half-ass production, but like it was sort of pro, but not really. Just like him just being like blah 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 going along, and like I watched the whole fucking thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, dude, I watch a lot of tutorial videos, especially for Blender, because Blender is like really tough to get started with, and a lot of it's just live. Like people are, it's pre-recorded, but you can, it's like they're messing up here and there, and it's obvious that they have notes on the side that they're referenced, you know. But the overall quality of it has to do with the content and less to do with like the production quality, which is kind of like the interesting thing. It's like, dude, this guy got 100,000 hits. Dude, my buddy who's got 92,000 subscribers, dude, his videos, it's just him.
That's fucking real.
Dude, it's him talking. It's him talking. It's not even, you know. So the way I look at it, it's like, it's, and I follow this guy Gary Vaynerchuk. He's this like celebrity entrepreneur, and I watched the video today with him, and he talks about this. He goes, who gives a fuck, right? Of the quality of the stuff. Like, who gives a fuck if it's finished? I'm like, you know who's gonna tell you if it's good or not? The market. The people are gonna tell you, and it's so fucking true. It's so true. Like, it's, if people like the content, they're gonna listen to it. You know, the same way that we were talking about the news. The news has to be overly sensationalized because the competition now is so freaking stiff. You got
So yeah. Well, I mean, it's everybody. Like you're competing against it, so you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You
Yeah.
know, like if you don't compete with them the same way, like you're not going to get any views or clicks. And then if you do, you fucking know better than them. Like
Yeah.
so, you fucking stuck. Yeah.
So it's better off. We're better off just attacking it. Like, hey, this is where we're at right now in time. These are the resources we have, and as time passes, we're going to improve the quality. If you saw the videos that I used to post before, they were more scripted, but they took a hell of a long time to do. Whereas like stuff like this we do live, it's there's no filter. It's just us going through what we would normally go through. And I kind of like that raw side of it more, just because we're not hiding who we are. Whereas like there's a time and place for like finished product, but I think, dude, there's so many, like how I learned how to use like the CAD stuff. Dude, it wasn't the best quality video. It was just like someone posted a video and I was looking for one specific thing to do, to understand. That's it. One specific thing.
Yeah, and he happened to cover it.
Yeah,
and that was that.
And I'm like, for me, my goal is like to catch that niche. Yeah, that's kind of like the because I'm in that group where I'm a niche group that's looking for a specific thing. I kind of want that too. I kind of want that, like, that entrepreneurial spirit, or I want that person that's curious about what's up and coming and what's new, and get excited about it. But no one's gonna get excited about it if no one knows what anyone's doing. We can,
Nah.
and that's
Shit.
and that's the thing. It's like why not? Like we don't know if it works. Nobody knows if it works. We just know that we have the ability to do it.
About the whole thing when we're doing it is we did it this one time, but like we shouldn't no extra long intro anymore. Like we did one bullshit intro talking about stuff, and that's like done. Like we're just like camera on, blah blah, go. That's it. No, like
Well,
And I'm
it's episode 0, so it's gotta
exactly,
have
yeah,
it's gotta have
had
that
to
one
have it.
intro. You know,
Sure, absolutely.
if people want to go back and see what we were talking about before, we can reference it to the video. And I always set up the videos so that it goes to the previous video and the next video, so it'll be easier to navigate. And then the good thing is that you can keep updating the description, so I can update it as I go. I've been doing that, like every now and then. Like I go through all the descriptions and I'm like, oh, you know what? Like this has got to be improved. So I rewrite it or I just add a few things. You know, might change a few of the tags and stuff like that. But I can tell you, like, to be really honest, I only have 20 subs, dude, and the viewership has been increasing. Like, not significantly, but very steady growth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And people are responding to the behind the scenes stuff, which is pretty impressive. Like, oh, you know, I'm building the water filter thing. You know,
Mhm.
it's not directly related to the VR stuff, but hey, I have this obstacle and this challenge in the real world that I have to deal with, you know, and I want to help people. So that's why I'm doing it. Um, so I don't know. To me, it's just more important to be honest with and be authentic with people. That I before I was so into like that super high quality. Oh, you know, dude, I conducted so many webinars back in the day, and everything was like super scripted.
Yeah, it's
Um,
way more important to be fucking actually interesting. Like,
yeah,
like this, rather than like the script and all that. No, you're either interesting or you're not.
yeah,
Like it's not all the extra stuff doesn't matter really that much.
yeah. It's just yeah. I spent a lot of time scripting events and you know
Mm.
queuing videos and stuff like that, and it becomes more of a sales pitch and less about the content. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that makes any sense. And
No, no. The only reason I bring up the other talking points and stuff is because it's good to have like ideas and stuff to like fill in and bring up when there is a little bit of downtime and the conversation isn't just flowing and going.
yeah,
And you have all these like certain things that might be something that might trigger an idea or a talk or a chat from like anything all over the place, whatever it is.
yeah. No, dude, I'm totally with you on that one, dude. I totally agree. I think it one is the great thing is it's like it's a time to hang out, but it's also I feel like we can continue to like solve problems too, like different problems or, just I think it's enjoyable. I think the thing that we're doing, I'm glad Randall, jumped in and he sounds like he's pretty excited and be curious, dude. That guy can freaking cook, man. That guy can cook.
Oh, Randall? Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and he's really fun to go on food trips.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
He should have been coming to Columbia. I gotta text Pat about that shit too.
yeah. I think
I figure that stuff out. You texted me earlier. Would you want to give you the info about that? Because how I was judging stuff off was like if stuff still worked out and like I mean if stuff isn't kind of back to normal by the 4th of July, which very well could be. Holy shit. That's
that's a long time.
yeah, that's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. No, I think I think what makes sense is to buy the flights for just a specific time, and because we can
That's what I'm
switch.
gonna target that stretch then, the end of June, because
Yeah,
that'll give enough time out that it might actually happen.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I can tell you this. So you know how I was telling you that I built that model based on the cases that was provided by the CDC. Today,
yeah.
it dropped. The percent dropped.
Yes, there's been a bit of a plateau, evening out kind of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, we had said it before when we were talking about shit that like you'll know, you're not gonna know now, but based on its, you know, how infectious it is, and then the amount of time that you're sick and the amount of time that they said that you can have it without symptoms. We said like mid-April is actually when you're going to get a good feel for which direction is it really headed.
yeah.
Uh, So in another, like, 10 days or so, we're going to know, like, okay, is this home confinement bullshit? Did this do what it's supposed to do?
Yeah, it looks like it's sort of flattened out, for sure, because at least on the model that I created, it's flattened out a little. So that's a good thing. That makes me happy.
Oh, yeah. But then, like, you had a good point, like, even if they do open stuff back up, like the traveling, and then people, when you land, are going to kind of look at you a little funny. Like, you know, so maybe we want to, like, even if it was successful that we could get out of here the end of May into June, maybe it's better to push it another, like, month out, maybe shoot more towards June into July.
Yeah, I think that might be a better idea because no matter what, the flights right now are freaking ridiculously cheap.
Oh, I was on JetBlue. That whole stretch, June into July, everything just said fucking 266. Like, it was just like
they were just
every
like, fuck
day.
it, fuck it.
It was legit. It was just a blank slate. All of them were like 7 hours there, 8 hours back. It was like their whole, like, standard issue gambit of flights that they have, all the same exact wicked low price.
Like they're
it
like,
was
fuck
wicked
it.
funny.
Yeah, they're like, fuck
It
it.
was like pick
no,
it,
no
pick it.
deal. Yeah.
They're like, nobody's
Man.
picking this anyways.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome if we get Randall to come out. That'd be cool.
Right? He'll probably be in, like, full swing though after everything in that time of year though,
Yeah.
especially over 4th of July weekend.
Ooh, yeah, true.
Yeah, it'd be tough for him, but figure that's the time frame I'm going to look for. Check some shit out.
Well, I mean, there's always other trips that we can plan with Randall.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it's something a little shorter or closer or something along those lines.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I was thinking too? Maybe do like a food challenge, like down the road we get enough viewers, run a poll to see like what people are interested in. That'd be a cool little fun challenge thing. So I think in between two, when we're doing topics, you should talk about, like, in between, kind of just like spurts. Talk about like what your concept is, the restaurant concept.
Sure. Definitely. Bring it up and everything. I think, and I want to do that. I think, hope, knock on wood, we do this, goes along, get some viewers, get some branding, get some stuff going. Maybe, actually pick up who knows, maybe it kicks off and we get a good forum of how we're doing it and everything, and it actually really interests people what we're doing and how it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep, like, us and what we're doing and how we are as the brand almost.
Sure. Yeah.
And kind of the concept of, like, I just, like, I like food. I like this. I like people. I love when people, like, enjoy what you make and, like, take that first bite and they're like, oh, that's fucking unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
there's really something about that that's just really satisfying. It's really rewarding.
Oh yeah.
Just something different than producing other stuff. Because you're producing, like, I don't know, it's something about, like, making food and providing people with food. Because something that they, like, some of the people need.
Yeah.
When they really enjoy it and come back for it, it's different. It's a little rewarding.
Definitely. Oh. But doing the live video, it's like having a few technical glitches every now and then. Mostly because like I'm managing the system a little bit. Oh, there it goes, a little wonky right there. If anyone watches the video and they catch that, like, they're like, oh, there's a technical glitch.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be a bunch.
Overall, though, I reviewed the video yesterday, and it came out pretty good. The sound quality was good. And like I said yesterday, I felt like everyone was more relaxed, and then just somehow that this was the live event, it was a little bit like I was a little bit on edge before I started. I was like, oh crap, like it's an hour ahead. I'm like, oh, what do I do? It was just for like a 1 minute. I was like, oh man, I'm losing track of where do I begin? I was
Yeah,
rehearsing.
after that, nah, it'll be different next time. After you get that first one out of the way,
Yeah.
it'll be way different. I was already feeling just like a lot more just normal about doing stuff towards the end of it. Just like, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
listen, we're just doing this and bullshit, and you guys are along for the ride. Um,
I one of the great things too is like this is gonna be on the internet at any given time. Um, at any given time, someone can come across it and be like, "What the heck is this? Like, why is the video 2.5 hours long or two?"
oh
You know,
fuck, who knows? I don't know. Whatever. I mean, we could have hung up a long time ago. You guys can. They can shut the video off a long time ago too.
that's yeah, that's the beauty of it is that people can do that. Um,
Yeah.
but like I said, I think there's a lot of good information there. I think I definitely noticed right now since everyone's can't leave their house that there's been like there's the group of people that's like there's a surge of people being very proactive about what's going on, and then there's like the group of people that are kind of just steady, and then people that just kind of letting things kind of pass by. I noticed that there's like, oh, there's people out there. There's a bunch of companies just advertising like a ton, um, which
Mm.
is quite impressive. But at the same time, uh, and not really talking too much about the situation. And I feel like it's always good to kind of keep everything in view. And like I haven't really been doing any me personally, like I haven't really been doing any advertising. It's just been, hey, I tested out this fluid dynamics thing. Here's an 11-second video.
Yeah.
But a lot of
Yeah.
it's for future things, and some of like internal projects, external projects that uh, I'm working on at the current stage. So it's like, oh, you know, for me, I'm getting more comfortable with just posting stuff with things that I'm familiar with at the moment or learning and getting it out there so people can see. Because if you think about it, it's a whole catalog of all the videos that we've ever talked about, all the stuff that we put together. It's out there now. It's out there for people to review, and there'd almost be no question about like, oh, okay, what type of work were we putting in? What type of you know, what were we thinking of at the time? What did we accomplish? To produce something like this in less than a weekend, and get it done. Um, Not beat ourselves up too much about the quality and stuff like that. I honestly think it went pretty well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I just think that I think I think it can be a lot better. That's all. I don't think it was
Oh,
bad.
sure,
I
sure.
just like way better. I think with some legit good, like hard, like some good talking points about interesting stuff, some bullshitting around and just
Mhm.
flowing. I think it'd be really good to couple that with like the food process.
Yeah.
Because I think both are really important. Like obviously the thing is about whatever we're making that time and everything, but the filler is the extra discussion and the talking about things that are actually important and not just random bullshit. Um, Whatever it is, whatever the topic is.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll spearhead that. I'll spearhead like the topics that I'm looking into, and then
Whatever it is, too. Like you read some like crazy conspiracy theory you want to fucking talk about, or like some this or that or anything. Just whatever's interesting,
yeah,
whatever is going on, whatever's good headline, like or like a wicked like a headline that you see and you're like I can't even believe they fucking just did that as a headline like that. Like you know,
yeah,
all of
yeah,
those
yeah.
are good.
Definitely, definitely. No, I think we got to be. I think we definitely got to be dialed in. Um, make it like an active process. And I mean, like I said, you and I are already in the routine of weekly,
Mm.
weekly meetings, so that's not a problem.
We only need like you only need like 3 or 4 good ones. It's only an hour, so,
Yeah,
or we have regular stuff going on, and we have 3 or 4 other things. Like that'll be a jam packed hour.
yeah. And I think so. I think moving forward for the videos, and since this is the first one, and then we're obviously having commentary afterwards. I think for the
Yeah,
next videos, we really got to stick to the hour. I do 5 minutes of pre-roll where it's just a looping video, and the
hmm
music so that people can prep to before the video starts. But try to stay. We should all try to stay within that schedule of 1 hour. Um, and then obviously that won't always be the case, but I think just raising that expectation for people that are going to be viewing live, because I'm going to assume that there's going to be one or two people that are going to be interested in what we have to say, or interested in the cooking aspect, whatever it is, or they just like hearing us talk. Um, having that lined up, and also with that in mind with the topics, I feel like we should have some steady outline of what we have in the works for the next few weeks. So next week you have the cold oats. The following week, um, I think I should do this ceviche because I feel like for now, Randall still has to get a little bit more. I don't think he told his boss yet. I think he is one of those like, oh, I'll just do the video and have his boss worry about it later. But I don't think there was any particular. I don't think there was any particular sensitive aspect about the restaurant, that was that his boss had to worry about. Actually, to be honest, I feel like the great thing about having Randall on the show was that he was very open about discussing stuff. And, it wasn't like he was holding anything close to his vest. And that kind of just shows, one, how well he knows the operations at the place, but also how well he knows the topics that he's talking about, which I gotta commend him for that, And he's totally a team player at the restaurant, which is, that guy, I'm telling you, he's been busting his butt for a long time. And
Hmm.
it's nice that he's got himself in a situation where it's he's happy, he's
Yeah, the spot
contributing.
he's at now is pretty. The spot he's at now seems pretty cool.
Yeah,
As far as just how they treat him and everything.
yeah. I've heard nothing but good stuff about the. That'd be cool. That'd be cool to have him on the show. You know, pick his brain, see how he thinks. Talk about his journey. I'd like to hear his story about his journey into the restaurant biz and how everything came about. I know he had a partner or something like that, but obviously he can talk more in detail about those things. That'd be a really cool inside scoop. Where obviously we talk about the stuff that we talk about, but we get that chance to be able to talk with another business owner like, hey, how you dealing with this, and blah blah blah. And I want to hear the story. I want to hear it from that guy,
Yeah,
and then you know provide us some advice about his approach. And the whole operations thing that Randall talked about was very cool. Was very interesting.
it was definitely like way different. Just how he was describing some of that stuff.
Well, the
Yeah, but
queuing.
it would be fun just chatting with him and everything, seeing how he did stuff and how he got started, and kind of just everything all about that.
Yeah, yeah. I would say be on. Have I would say have 5 weeks. So 5 things that you want to cook. So it's roughly about a month, and then we can start like staggering. Because so here's the thing: it's a live event. We want people to cook with us, right? we need to get the ingredients and the tools out available. So I got to do the email blast, do the Facebook thing, and that's something I'm going to do prior to Friday. So, whatever tools that you use for the cold oats.
Yeah. Mm.
And then at least we can start like plugging that away as far as getting the videos out, and then I can have because I can build the infrastructure to send the emails out on a regular interval, like say, tune in next week for so and so video and blah blah blah, and but I need the ingredients and I need the tools, cooking tools, so people can prep. So if they decide that they're going to cook with us, they have everything. Ready.
So, all right. And I'm just getting a couple messages. I got to get over and start doing some of that shit that I was talking about earlier.
Sure.
For work and stuff. And then, but yeah, good stuff, Kuya.
Yeah, likewise,
obviously
man.
It's already up because it's live.
It's still going live right now, bro.
Yeah, I know. So we'll catch up this week, figure out the next week, all the stuff and the touch points and this and that, and we'll go. And then next week I think will be interesting. Now that we got this first one out of the way.
Yeah.
I think next week will be interesting. I think the cooking conversation aspect has got something to be said for it.
It's different.
Yeah, doing the meal, because you always see me and people just doing meal prep. Not to beat it, we'll see how it goes. We'll try and do it. We're gonna do the cooking, some of the stuff that interests people with the conversation at the same time. Yeah, I think it's got a little something. Could be interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't advertise this. There was only at most maybe 3 people, so that probably you, Sophia,
Talking just us. Yeah.
Yeah, which to me, we have this video. It's the first one. We can always
nobody's gonna find an unadvertised live stream on the first one. Like that's not.
Unless you're like PewDiePie or
yeah. No. You'd have to already have, whatever, 1.2 million subscribers. Like,
So, all right, cool. Great first video. I'm excited about the cold oats thing. Ingredients, cooking tools, and I'll start furnishing the email to advertise it. So, it'll be a pretty big push for the first day. And tell you the truth, I don't know how it's gonna run. Like if we do get like a handful, say we get at worst 5 people, but say we hit like the 100, 200. I don't know how well the system is gonna run. But I'm guessing. I mean, it's YouTube, so they should be able to run fine.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough.
Find out. So, all right, Kuya.
All right,
be safe,
man. Yeah, you too.
Yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, take it easy.
All right, latest.